We got work to do.
Welcome to Highway to Hell, a supernatural podcast. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Christine.
And this week we're watching or talking about season 4, episode 6, Yellow Fever.
Yeah.
And this one's basically the one about Kristen's anxiety. Essentially.
It's a metaphor.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff about anxiety in this episode.
Yeah.
Essentially, because Sam and Dean investigate the mystery of several men who apparently died of fright. After Dean becomes infected, Sam and Bobby must find the root of the disease. So.
Dang.
I know. Okay, this one's going to be really interesting to talk about because I've always really loved this episode. And I kind of see it as a fan favorite. Mainly because Jensen Ackles is a comedy genius and he's amazing in this.
He really
he's
is
so hilarious. And then of course we get that amazing clip of him lip singing to Eye of the Tiger at the very end of the episode. Good. It's amazing. It's good. Yeah.
And I really kind of freaked out when we were doing the video reaction for this episode. Because we haven't had anything like that so far. Like, I haven't seen them do any cute, separate little clips like that that's actually in the show, that they put out. It was so funny. I just loved it.
It was. And it was directed by Phil Segricia, who we love. And actually on Supernatural Wiki, it says he is famously responsible for leaving the cameras rolling and capturing Jensen's rendition of Eye of the Tiger.
Oh, well, thank God for that.
Yes, thank you. So thank you to Phil Segricia on that. But, I think we had some problems with the episode.
Yeah, that's putting it nicely.
And perhaps it's due to a brand new writing team. Writers Daniel Laughlin and Andrew Dabb. This is their very first episode that they've written for Supernatural.
Okay.
And they would they're going to stick around as a team for a pretty long time, actually. And they also wrote the third Supernatural comic series, Supernatural Beginnings End, which I think we talked about doing on the Patreon and, looking at that and discussing it.
Cool. Well, that's good to know. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. I had issues, as you know.
Yeah, I had issues also, and we're going to talk about them.
Good. I love talking about issues.
Yeah. But, before we get super into the episode, I did want to make a little announcement. So I've decided, and I don't know how difficult this will be for me, but I've decided that I am not going to watch the rest of season 14 and not going to watch season 15 so that we can watch it together for the first time.
Oh my God. Yay!
I thought about
this. Can you save yourself?
I don't know. I thought about it in season 13 and then I was like, nah, whatever. Let me just watch.
Well, I don't blame you. I would just kind of assume that you would want to continue doing that because I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, you've already started.
I'm probably not going to be as virginized as you are, just because I'm usually on the Twitter a little bit more. And again, you guys are spoilies all the time. So, but I'll actually try and shield myself a little bit more, because usually if there's something spoilery, I just go and look at it. But I'm gonna try to like, okay, nope, can't see that, you know.
Oh man. That's so exciting.
I know. It'll be great. It's gonna be like in like 6 years or something, but
yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. The last, guys, this is so exciting. The last 2 seasons of our podcast, we're both gonna be newbies.
Yeah, 2 newbies, 2 for 1.
Yeah, it's a twofer.
So yeah, that's my announcement.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
So we've got, as you know, Survivor's Eye of the Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
This came out in 1982, and it was on an album also called Eye of the Tiger.
I actually I'm usually annoyed by this song because it just plays everywhere. It's like in every single movie. It's part of, every single Rocky gag.
It's a big deal.
But seeing Jensen perform it, it's great. I love it.
Mm-hmm. It was the theme song for Rocky 3, and I did like the Rocky movies.
Rocky 3?
Yeah.
I should probably say I've never seen any of the Rocky movies.
I was just gonna ask, you haven't?
I have not.
Well, the first one is definitely good. I think I liked the second one too. I don't know that I saw the third one.
But that's so weird because I would think, I just always imagined that it was like part of the first movie. You know what I mean? Like that is, it's just become like all about Rocky and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
And side tangent, like, although I haven't seen all of the Rockies, I know about some of them just because Paul Scheer recently on How Did This Get Made spent like 15 minutes just ranting about how he just had a full-on Rocky marathon, and then he ranked all of the Rockies and talked about them at great length.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Pretty great.
That's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do that.
Yeah, just rank them.
Yeah. And it was kind of good for me. Quick little tangent about the Rocky movies, because Sylvester Stallone, I never really liked him that much, right? He just seems, he's kind of a goofball. He's got that goofy accent and kind of a lazy eye. It's like he was born to play Rocky. Like, watching the Rocky movies, it's like no one else could have done this. He's this guy, his character isn't super educated, but he's street smart and he's got a good heart, he's a good dude and he's just strong and, fighting for his dream.
Yeah.
It's just perfect. So, yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, I mean, I think that was the only song we really got. So
yeah, I think that was the only one in the episode.
Yeah, there you go. That's all we need, really.
That's all you ever need.
Yeah. So, Yellow Fever. First off, the title is I think obviously named after the real life yellow fever, but I looked it up and just shallow Googling shows that it's caused by a virus that is spread through mosquito bites. Symptoms include fever, chills, headache, muscle aches, and then it can develop into serious illness that can lead to like death and shit. But it doesn't like specifically say that it leads to any sort of like anxiety or like
it doesn't have like similar symptoms.
Yeah, like hallucinogenic symptoms or anything like that. Again, this is very superficial Googling. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything. So I'm not quite sure why the episode is named after it.
I'm not really either, because before we watched it, I thought it was going to have something to do with Azazel.
Oh. Well,
just because of the yellow, but it didn't.
I mean, we do get references to him, but
But it wasn't like the sickness or whatever was caused by him. Like, he wasn't like a part of the episode at all.
No, although we can kind of. Okay, so like Dean, we see that his biggest fear is Sam turning into the yellow-eyed demon.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps
So maybe it was like a yellow fever for him because that's his
fear.
Yeah. But it was
Yeah.
also Lilith, right?
Yeah. But she was kind of teasing him. Well, she was teasing him about something about hell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't either.
So
That was a good guess, though. That could be it.
perhaps if you guys know out there, let us know.
Yeah.
Um, so the episode starts with a recap as usual, and immediately, oh, I'm sorry. Other thing to mention is that we actually did a reaction video to this episode that is, you know, will be posted by the time that, this episode will be up for sure. And as soon as Lilith came out, I think we immediately like got so excited because just seeing her little face again was awesome.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. She actually looked slightly older. Like you can tell she's grown up just a little bit.
Yeah.
And but she's still so awesome.
No, yeah, she still is. So in the recap, we get her. So we want to remember who she is. And we also see that Sam's got some demon powers and Dean got dragged out of hell by Castiel. And I was kind of curious, like, what does all this all have to do with the episode? But I think we kind of see those connections later on. So the episode starts and Dean's running from something. We hear like a very scary, like deep dog bark and some growling. And I think we both were like, is this a hellhound? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And if anything, we should have gotten a hellhound recap, but we didn't.
Yeah, because that's how he died.
Right.
Oh, and you mean just for the beginning to like set us up for this being a hellhound?
Exactly. Like it would have led to, oh shit, this is another hellhound even more, you know? So Dean passes a homeless man and then stops and yells at him, "Run, it'll kill you." And the homeless man looks over and it's a little Yorkie.
Yeah,
with a pink bow.
It's Lola.
It's Lola. It's my baby Lola. If I haven't mentioned to you countless times, I have a little Yorkie and her name is Lola. And
Looked a lot like her.
It does look a bit like her, although this Yorkie had longer hair.
Mm-hmm. And a little ponytail.
Yeah. But Lola doesn't let me do nice ponytails like that.
She's too tough.
Yeah.
She's like a tomboy.
And this Yorkie is like looking up at Dean like, why are you scared of me? You know? But then she gives like a little growl again, and then Dean takes off running and yelling again. And it's like credits. So that's a little weird.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. What the hell's going on here? Mm-hmm. So we see that it's 43 hours earlier now, and Sam and Dean are posing as Agent Tyler and Perry, looking at the autopsy results for a Frank O'Brien who died of a heart attack at 44 years old. But he was a marathon runner. Things are not adding up here.
Also, can we just appreciate for a second how great at least my guesses are? Because they said Tyler and Perry, and I was like Aerosmith? And it was totally the guy from Aerosmith.
Yeah, it was. Guys. Steven Tyler, and then I think the guitarist or something.
I don't remember his first name, something Perry.
Yeah. And it's like, of course. Okay, great. And the coroner, though, says everybody dies sooner or later. That's why I got job security, which is true.
Yeah.
But he's totally like not concerned at all about this guy dying. But Sam and Dean point out to him that it's now 2 men in Maumee, which is located in Ohio, and this episode takes place in Colorado. So I don't know. They were like traveling between these 2 cities / states.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's 2 men now who have dropped dead because of a heart attack. And Sam and Dean say that they want to see the results of the autopsy. And the coroner asks, what autopsy? And Dean's like, the one you're going to do. So
this is the
I'm
worst coroner in the fucking world. Like, how does this guy have a job?
I'm also not an expert, but I'm pretty sure that you have to. No, I'm not going to say this. I feel like the only way you can determine a heart attack is with an autopsy to
Yeah,
see
unless
if
you
there are
do it like in
any.
the hospital and they're like at the hospital and it's like, oh, this was clearly a heart attack.
Right. Or like if he inserted a camera. I don't know. Like he needs to be able to see the blocked arteries to determine if
Yeah.
it's a heart attack.
Yeah, do some kind of physical examination.
Yeah, I don't know. So cut to
But he
the
clearly doesn't give a
coroner.
fuck about these people either. Like he just, as I'm sure you're going to describe.
Yeah, so he's opening this body now, and Sam and Dean kind of look a little perturbed, but they say no, it's not our first or anything. But I guess the coroner is just handling the body just really, really
Rough.
violently. Yeah, and the coroner asks them to hand over the rib cutter, and he proceeds to crack open this dude's ribs, and you can just hear that cracking sound, and
Oh.
it's so gross. And that's when Dean notices that Frank's hands are all scarred, and that there's an imprint of a wedding ring. And Dean notes this guy wasn't married, so that's odd. Then Sam asks about the terrible scratches all over Frank's arm, and it's kind of like developed into a rash. Like, I don't know if scratches really shows what it is. It's like his entire arm is like peeling off.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's like long, like cuts down his arm, like lengthwise.
Yeah. And the coroner says that, well, when bodies drop dead, they literally drop dead.
So he's saying like he fell and got scraped up on the way down.
Right.
There, you could never convince anybody of that, dude.
All of these coroners just need to be fired. Like,
Yeah.
I think there was like one who was like actually really great at their job. And,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I liked that guy who was like, when they showed up and they were like making jokes or being stupid, he was like, "Get out."
Yeah.
Leave
He
me
wasn't
alone
taking
now.
any of their shit,
No.
But this coroner, meanwhile, he realizes that there are no blockages in any of the major arteries.
Whoa, weird.
Huh. Interesting. So but then he takes out the entire heart. And Dean's like totally grossed out. And he's like, oh, it looks pretty healthy. And then he gives the heart to Dean to hold. And then there's another crack. And then there's spleen juice all over Sam's face.
Oh,
Which is so
fucking disgusting.
Not okay.
No.
At all.
Like, do you have some kind of like bio shower or something that I can go stand in that like will decontaminate me and disinfect and all that shit?
Yeah. And I was kind of trying to pay a little bit closer attention.
Do we need to call the CDC? Like,
yeah, who knows what this guy has, But I was trying to pay a little bit closer attention. And I think in the next scene, Sam does look a little bit wet. Like his hair is a little bit wet. So I guess, yeah, they probably stopped to take a shower or something. So they go to the sheriff's office and they're immediately asked by the sheriff, Al Britton, to take off their shoes before going in. They shake his hand. And then he immediately grabs like this giant 32-ounce thing of hand sanitizer and like, squeezes some in his hands and cleans it up. And I thought this was weird at the time and just kind of like funny, just kind of a quirk of his. But thinking about it now, we know that Sheriff Britton has been infected.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just his anxiety manifesting.
Yeah. He thinks he's sick or something, and he's just like a germaphobe.
Yeah.
The shoes, too.
Yes. So it's interesting that it, came out that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that we had this little clue, like all the way at the beginning.
I just thought he was like a weird hippie or something, but then the hand sanitizer was like, no, that's weird. It doesn't fit.
I mean, I know a few people like that, but
Yeah.
it's not that bad. So Elle said that they, were friends because they asked him about Frank, and he said that they were friends. They were both on the Gamecocks, and then Dean like immediately starts laughing, and
He's just
but
like,
he turns, yeah, but he turns like super serious as soon as Al gives him a look, and he explains that was their softball team name, and they're majestic animals.
There's an actual, I don't know what sport it is, but there's an actual team that's the Gamecocks, and I think maybe it's football or something, and John was watching it one time, and I was like, like so immature.
Well, I had no idea that that's like a real bird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I guess it's just...
They ran out of team names. Let's be honest. They ran out of fucking animals to name teams after. So they went for Gamecocks because it's like a fighting bird, right? It's like I don't fucking know.
Yes. Like I Googled Gamecocks and then cockfight came up.
Yeah.
So, but, and then Dean just doesn't know what to say. He like opens his mouth for a second. He's like, no, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. So Elle says, Frank was a really great guy. And Dean says, yeah, big heart.
Gross.
Which is terrible. And Sam gives him a look. But Al goes on, he says, but then he like starts coughing into his hands and then puts more hand sanitizer on. So another little clue. So Sam and Dean walk out of there and they say, no way, it's Al. He really liked Frank, it seems. And it just seems as if something scared Frank to death. And they're kind of wondering what that was. So they decide to visit the last person who saw Frank alive, Mark, his neighbor. And they're like walking down the street, and all of a sudden Dean stops and he tells Sam, Sam's like, what is it? And he tells Sam, I don't like the look of those kids over there. And then pan the camera to these like 16-year-old kids, on some of them on bikes, but they're just talking. They
Hanging
just look
out
like normal kids. Yeah.
They don't look shady at all.
No, not at all.
Which is funny because I fully expected it to be like some teenagers like crowded around a car, like looking in the window or doing something actually shady. And they're just chilling.
Yeah. And I think he's just more scared because it's just more of them,
A crowd.
Yeah. So he's nervous about that. And Sam's like, what are you talking about? So Dean's like, yeah, come on, let's go over here. And he crosses the street and he keeps on like glancing over at them to see like what they're doing. And he just looks very serious. I really appreciated the way that all of the fear and anxiety manifested in him, because it's not like pure fear how we get later on. It doesn't jump to that. It's right. Like it's these little paranoia and phobias, but also like the type that, I don't know, that we get every day, that's kind of normal in a sense.
Yeah.
But he's just kind of taking it to a whole another level. So I get it, Dean.
Yeah. The anxiety is real.
It is. So at Mark's house, it's disgusting. It's like a zoo in there. He's got a snake wrapped around his neck. And he says that the last time he saw Frank, he was totally freaking out. He said that he was scared of the Wicked Witch of the East from The Wizard of Oz. That she was going to come and get him or something like that. And they're like, that's kind of weird. And they're like, he's like, yeah. And he was also scared of Al-Qaeda, artificial sweetener, and Pez dispensers.
Which totally date this episode. All of those things together is like...
Yes. Like first Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
And then also I do feel like around this time it was like the cancer of artificial sweetener had just like come out by the CDC or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um so they ask what he was like. And Mark explains, look, he got better, but he was kind of a dick in high school. And he used to tape people's butt cheeks together. And Dean kind of laughs. And he's like, including mine. And Dean's like, oh, sorry.
Poor guy.
I know. It's so sad. But
I like how honest he was about this guy being like a dick, you know. Just like, sorry, this is how I was. He said he got better, you know.
Mm-hmm. He seems to have forgiven him for taping his butt cheeks together.
Yeah. They were neighbors who were nice enough to each other.
Yeah. But he especially got better after what happened to his wife. And they were like, oh, like he was married? What happened? And Mark says that she died 20 years ago. And he doesn't continue after that. Like we don't get more information. But because at that point, Dean is kind of eyeing the snake wrapped around his neck. And Mark's like, oh, are you worried about Donnie? No, Donnie's a sweetheart. But Marie is who you need to, she smells fear. You need to worry about her. And all of a sudden, there's like this yellow anaconda like slithering onto Dean's chest. And he's totally freaking out.
And I just realized that must be a Donnie and Marie Osmond.
I think so. Yeah.
Funny. Donnie and Marie.
I know.
Yeah, that was cool though. Hi, Snake. Jeez. It's like right there.
I know. Just loose.
Just loose in the house.
But this guy has like a crocodile and like a bunch of other kind of
a whole
pets.
Like reptile menagerie.
Mm-hmm. So in the car, Dean's kind of scratching at his arm a little bit. And Sam comes in and Dean shows him that Frank's wife apparently died of a suicide, but that Frank had an alibi. So, it wasn't him, clearly. So Sam says, I guess he had just checked out Frank's place, and he said that Frank's place didn't have any hex bags. The EMF didn't go off, so it looks pretty normal, and that kind of filters out any sort of like ghosts or witches or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So they're already driving at this point, and Sam notices that Dean is driving like 20 miles per hour.
Yes.
And Sam's like, what's that all about? And Dean's like, I'm staying safe. I'm not
got a problem with safety?
Yeah. And then I think he like passes his turn or something, and Sam's like, hey, like you missed it. And Dean's like, I'm not gonna make that left-hand turn, it'd be suicidal.
Yeah.
And he
no left-hand turn into oncoming traffic.
But then I love this part because he's like, did I say that? That's kind of weird.
Yeah, he's like surprised at himself.
Yeah, it's just so like he's involuntarily saying all this stuff. It's weird.
He's involuntarily becoming a grandma.
Right.
It's just so funny.
So all of a sudden, though, that EMF goes off, and Sam kind of holds it closer to Dean, and it goes off even more. And they're like, what? Like Dean's like, oh, am I haunted?
I love that part. Am I haunted? Am I haunted? He's like freaking out about it.
Yeah, he's already freaking out about it.
Something else to be afraid of.
Have we seen a haunted person before? I think I asked this when we were watching it together.
I think you did too, and I said no. I can't think of a haunted person so far. I hope we're not wrong, but I can't recall
either.
That there is.
I feel like maybe I've seen it on another TV show.
Okay.
Or maybe in The Conjuring 2. I think that's where I saw it. Yeah. The Conjuring 2.
Porky's 2.
But I don't, or that. With a KKK.
Right. I can't remember that being a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure somebody will remind us.
It's kind of a cool concept.
It is cool. And actually really do like the concept here of what we learn in a second about the ghost sickness.
Yeah.
Because cut to the morning, Sam has grabbed some donuts. He's walking back to the hotel, but he hears some Eye of the Tiger bumping in the Impala. So he goes over and he sees Dean. He's kind of like air drumming in the front seat, laying down, just totally
I
chill.
loved it so much. As soon as we were
It was
closing in on the car, I was
great.
like, oh man, is he listening to it? Is he going to dance? We're going to get a video, like a music video.
Yeah. It was just such a cute, like, thing to
Dean
add. I
thing.
don't, yeah, it didn't have any, like, specific purpose to the plot or anything like that, but it was just, this is classic Dean.
Yeah.
Classic Dean moment.
For sure.
So Dean turns off the music and Sam tells him it's ghost sickness. He just got off the phone with Bobby and this is what he learned. So apparently the reason why they moved funerals from the person's household to funeral homes is because of this. Like, people started getting nervous that a ghost would infect them or haunt them in this way. And the symptoms are you get anxious, scared, more scared, and then your heart gives out, basically. And it can be passed by human to human, so like through a handshake or anything else. But since Frank was patient 0, it probably originated from him.
Great.
Yeah. So Sam explains that Frank was in Maumee doing the softball tournament with the Gamecocks and the Corn Jerkers.
And it was at this point that I realized, because when they talked to Mark too and he said he was a dick, I was like, this is like a dick theme. There's a theme about fucking dicks.
Is that why they did that? Yeah, you're right.
Right? Like,
yes.
All these guys who were being targeted were dicks in high school and their teams were Gamecocks and Corn Jerkers. Like,
no, that's totally true. What the hell? I feel like this new writing team was just like fucking around. Like, they were
yeah. This episode, and this is just maybe where I'm going to go ahead and bring this up because I can't take it anymore. But it was a weird mix of the funny stuff like that was kind of lighthearted and hilarious, like even in ways that kind of like push the boundaries for supernatural, like a dick theme. That's pretty,
and also for TV.
Yeah, it's risque, and kind of vulgar and funny. And then other parts of this were so fucked up for me.
Yes, for me too.
So it's just, I know it got you too. So it's just like a weird like juxtaposition in one episode of like the funny stuff that I really enjoy and like kind of the cool concepts and stuff like that, and then this shitty stuff that I can't reconcile.
And I think it just made us feel like we were having like mood swings because if you see the reaction video, like we're going from like laughing to like being totally upset over certain things in the episode.
I was very upset at certain things.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it even starts with like the first scene with the coroner just kind of treating this body
with such like disrespect.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to get a little bit more into that. But right now, it's just, they're just having fun.
To let that out a little bit.
So, apparently Frank passed the ghost sickness onto the other softball guys because they were all part of the same team. And Dean probably got it through the heart. But he's like, but why didn't Sam get infected? He got all the spleen juice. And Sam explains, well, Bobby says that it can also be based on like the personality of the person. So it's targeted specifically to personalities. And Dean's like, I don't get it. Like, explain. And Sam's like, okay, Frank was a bully. one of the other guys was a vice principal, and which I find hilarious.
Yeah, that is really hilarious.
To put him in the same camp. And the other was a bouncer. They're all dicks. And Dean's like, what? Are you calling me a dick? And he's like, no, it's not just that. But all 3 victims use fear as a weapon. And as hunters, that's all they do. But apparently, Dean is the only one who's like really a dick.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, we're insinuating that Dean's a dick.
Essentially. But I do have some extra information about that.
Oh, good. Do tell.
I can only partially tell.
Okay.
Because...
Dang it!
I know. Because Kripke made a statement after, regarding the episode, clarifying that Dean wasn't infected because he was a dick, but rather that he was someone who used fear as a weapon, which we got from Sam. But that relates to something that we learn in episode 10 of this season.
Oh. Okay.
So
I can live with that.
Yeah, we only have like 4 more episodes to learn about that.
Yeah, okay. Huh.
And if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think I do. Maybe.
Or any
like
prophecies later on.
Like the fear of God.
Oh, maybe.
Like using the fact that Castiel and like God are behind him now, like have a mission for him. Is he like using that as like a weapon?
Possibly. I'm writing this down.
Okay, that's all I got for now.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I know. And so Sam then asks why Dean's waiting out here, but it's because apparently Dean is afraid of the 4th floor. It's a little too high. So,
oh, honey,
I know. So Sam's like, okay, let me go ask if they can move us to the 1st floor.
Sam just becomes like the man of the couple, right? He's just like, it's okay, honey, I'll take care of this.
Yeah. Or like,
let me go talk to the manager.
His mom too,
Totally.
Like later on when he's scratching, he's like, stop scratching. Stop it.
Yeah. I love it.
I know.
He just takes that role on so easily.
So we see Dean now in the hotel room and he's alone. There's this loud ticking sound and we get the shot of this clock. And I pointed this out to Christine because it's the clock that we're going to see in numerous Supernatural episodes. It's just a veteran prop of theirs that they use.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, Dean's reading about ghost sickness and he starts hallucinating that the text is saying like, you're dying right now. And he just like rubs his eyes and tries to make it go away.
It was scary.
It was. But then we like cut a little bit later and Sam comes in and the clock is like broken on the ground. And he's just like, okay. And at this point, I mean, the bad stuff is barely starting. Like he wasn't hallucinating before. So he explains that Stacy, Frank's wife, was actually, I'm sorry, not Stacy, Jessie, Frank's wife, was cremated. So there's no way that like she can be the ghost haunting them, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And Dean's still scratching at his arm, which is now like a rash. And he's like,
so gross.
It is. It's gross. And he's like, man, it's always me that's like dying, which is true.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, though, he starts choking and he goes to the sink and he spits out a wood chip. And then all of a sudden, like Sam gets so excited and he's like, we've been completely ignoring the biggest clue we have. You know.
Such a nerd.
Such a nerd. And he's also just like so happy that he has a clue.
Yeah.
He's like, the abrasion, the disease, this wood chip, it's trying to tell us something. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what are they trying to tell us? And cut to, they're going to the lumber mill. So once they get there, they get out of the car and Dean's like terrified. He's like, I'm not going in there.
It's
But
kind of
Sam's
spooky,
like,
right?
yeah, well, like Sam's like, oh, I need some backup. So I need you in there. So like Dean takes a big swig from his liquor bottle and then he says in this like really manly voice, let's do this.
He's like bumping himself up.
Yeah. And that's when he's like, but it is a little spooky, right?
It's so
they go
funny. I loved his reaction to this just because you could see like the fear on his face. And he's just like, I don't know. I don't want to go in there.
Yeah, like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
So Sam grabs a gun from the trunk and then he's about to hand another one over to Dean. But Dean sees he's not holding that. It might go off. And instead he grabs a flashlight and he's like, oh man, the flashlight. And he just looks so proud the way he like
so
grabs
excited.
it. Mm-hmm.
Like, so proud to be the holder of the flashlight.
Sam's like, okay.
But his reaction to the gun was so funny because this is a guy we've seen use a gun how many times? You know, he's like totally comfortable around weapons. And he's just like, no, I can't do that. It might go off. It's just like, really?
Yeah. Yeah, this is the guy, if you remember, like last season when he was being a total, I don't even know what to call him, like a crazy person, jumping out onto the hunters or the
like
vampires.
Being so reckless.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, super reckless. So this is very weird for him. Totally. So the two go into this mill, and it is pretty creepy. Like, to his credit, it looks like where Freddy Krueger was killed. Like, yeah, that's what it looks like.
Is this mill even in use anymore? No.
I don't know. I have a lot of questions about this mill because, so first off, they go in and the EMF starts going off, and it's because of Dean. Mm-hmm. So they turn it off, and then Sam almost like steps on a clue, and he startles Dean when he stops. But then he picks up a ring with like inscribed on it, "To Frank, love Jesse." So it's Frank's wedding ring that's just there on the ground.
Yeah, like no one came after his death or whatever. Like no one's been there, I guess, since he died or something.
So I know that Frank just died. So I'm guessing that what happened was he went and visited the mill because he knew perhaps that it was Luther that was, responsible for this.
Doing this, yeah.
And then he just, I don't know, threw his ring there or something. I don't know, because that's why he has that imprint on his wedding band. Like if he would have gotten rid of the ring 20 years ago, that would have been gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Or did he maybe go there and like Luther the ghost like showed up and infected him?
Oh, maybe.
And he left his ring there?
Because something? Why is this happening 20 years later? We always have this question.
Yeah.
With stuff like this.
And why, like, I don't understand why his ring would be off and be in the mill. Like, was Luther supposed to have taken it? Did Frank take it off? I don't know what happened there. It doesn't really make sense.
I don't know either. But also, well, we're about to get there, so I'll save it. But they all of a sudden hear some like metal rattling, and they come up to a set of lockers. And Sam's like, okay, I'm going to count from 3 and open it. And he opens it, and a black cat runs out. But Dean screams at the top of his lungs like a little girl.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and this is one of the most famous like Dean moments of Supernatural, and you can find this GIF many places of him screaming like that. And then but I love it afterwards. That's the best part because he starts like panting and he's like, oh, that was scary.
It's so cute.
And Sam just looks embarrassed for him. Like, what the hell's going on with you, man?
That's so funny.
Okay, so here's the part where I have a problem with. Okay. They move into the other room where they find a bunch of photos, some sketches
Yes.
of Jesse.
Yes, thank you for getting there.
So we know later on that Luther was collecting all these photos of Jesse, and that's why Frank got jealous and killed him.
Right.
But does that mean that like they just whoever was owned this mill or whatever was also working there, that they just left all of this for 20 years?
Yeah, whoever is in charge of this, they just left all that shit for literally 20 years. That's how long it's been there.
And
why? Why has no one been in there? Why is it still there? It doesn't make any sense. It's not his house.
no. And the mill does not look operational, like based cosmetically on the inside. You know what I mean?
Right. Agreed. But then all the machines start right up and they're like well oiled and stuff.
No, thank you.
How does that work?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, I don't work in a lumber yard or anything, but I'm not like
I'm
an
not
expert.
an expert. But I mean, come on. It doesn't quite add up.
No.
Unless Luther as a ghost has been like keeping this going, collecting stuff, and like keeping all the machines oiled. Maybe that was his job when he was alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he's just like reliving his life. I don't know. It's possible.
I don't know why his stuff would still be there, but I like that. That's the closest we're going to get, I think, to any kind of explanation.
Yeah. So Dean, I think he accidentally rips one of the photos, and all of a sudden that's when the equipment in the lumber mill starts moving. So they start looking around. You know, Sam has pointed up his shotgun, and Dean shines a flashlight around the room. And then he passes a corner.
Oh my God.
You don't register it. But then all of a sudden
But then you do.
But then you do, and Dean, it does for Dean also, and he like moves his flashlight back, and there is a man in this like Michael Myers jumpsuit staring at the corner, like facing away and facing the corner.
Oh my God. Like just thinking about it. I have goosebumps just thinking about it. It's freaking me out just thinking about it.
It was really creepy.
Oh my fucking God. I don't know that I've seen anything that scary in the entire time that we've been watching this fucking show.
No.
That's like...
No, I don't think we have.
Right? Like, thank you for validating the fear that I feel from seeing this man standing in a corner, just like blending in with the... Oh my God. Like, I can't.
The fact that he was blending in. No, I love it because when movies do stuff like that, it just freaks me the fuck out.
I was so freaked out.
Yeah. No, it scared me as well.
Christ.
So
I need to breathe.
It's just like Blair Witch, you know, like just facing the corner.
Oh, fuck.
So Sam notices Dean's expression and he turns and looks and he's like immediately, you know, got his shotgun up. But then he checks back on Dean, but Dean's already out the door running.
He just took off.
He's
Bye.
Gone. So Sam turns back, and that's when Luther turns around and he starts coming towards him, but he shoots him with rock salt and he disappears. So they now know what's up. They know it's a ghost. It's Luther. So they go to the sheriff's station where they pick up Luther Garland's file. And Sam asks Linus, who works, he's like the cop working in the front lobby. He looks like too young to be a cop.
Yeah. Is he supposed to be the deputy?
I don't know. He seems like he's a mama's boy and he's never been out of this town.
Mm-hmm. A little bit Barney Fife.
Yeah, I'm not sure how his love life is going, but he's been in love with his neighbor for his entire life since he was in elementary school.
Yeah.
But he's kind of awkward or maybe he's kind of a dick also. I don't know. So
no,
sorry.
I would say awkward is, all of that's a good backstory for him.
Yeah. I want to know more about Linus.
Do you? Because I kind of don't care about him at all.
No, yeah, he just seems like he's not doing his job.
Right.
But because
he's useless.
Sam asks him like what it means in the file that Luther died of physical trauma. And Linus is like, yeah, how am I supposed to know? That was before my time. So unhelpful, Linus. Unhelpful.
Really? Like, you can't just go ask somebody or literally
Yeah.
do anything.
No. The fucking coroner and now Linus. So
Unhelpful.
meanwhile, Dean's noticeably drunk in the back, and he's just like
weaving
kind of
around,
swaying. And Linus does notice and asks Sam if he's drunk, and Sam's like, "What? No. Why would he be drunk? You know?"
Yeah. No.
So they leave after like Sam has to pull Dean away, and the sheriff
and he has that really stupid conversation with Linus, where he's like, "You're awesome" or something, and he's like, "Thanks."
Yeah, thank you.
So stupid.
I know. But the sheriff asks Linus over the intercom, who was that? Linus says, oh, it's FBI agents. They just wanted to pick up a file on Luther Garland. And the sheriff is quiet. He doesn't answer. But we see inside his office, he's like scratching his arm bloody with like what is it called? That like metal scrub they use on dishes.
Like a steel wool.
Yeah.
Ugh, it's so disgusting.
It's gross.
And there's blood everywhere. Like, it's just like raw. Ugh. That was shocking.
And he's like loading up a gun, and we can hear his thoughts, and they're telling him they know. So, he's obviously hiding something. So the guys are now in a hospital, and Dean kind of bumps into this old lady. They're on their way to see John Garland, who was Luther's brother. And Dean is like freaking out about posing as FBI agents. He's like, come on, these badges are fake. What if we get busted? We could go to jail.
We could go to jail. Sam's like, shut the fuck up.
He's like, just shut up. We need to do this. It's fine. We'll be fine. And so they go up to John. They introduce themselves. And John immediately asks for their badges, and Dean gives Sam like a look like, I told you this is like
panicked look like, oh my God, they know.
And so Sam's kind of like gives him a gesture like, okay, calm down, let's take out our badges. And they hand it over to John. He's like staring at them and the badges for a while. And Dean's like, those are real, and Sam's like, what the fuck?
Shut up, dude.
Dean continues though. He's like, who would make that up? It would be crazy to fake being a FBI agent, and Sam has to kind of like step on him to like shut him up.
Shut up.
But John's cool. He believes them, and they talk to him a bit. He explains that Luther was the town freak. But Jessie, who worked as a receptionist at the lumber mill, was nice to him. As a result, Luther became infatuated with her. So when she vanished to commit suicide, if you remember, I have a thought about that. Okay. Frank came after Luther. He got jealous when he saw these photos, and then his
like portraits. They were like drawings that he'd done that were really pretty of her.
Yeah, but he proceeded to wrap a chain around Luther's neck and then tie it to his truck and then dragged him up and down the road in front of the mill. And then law enforcement did not investigate.
And when John is describing Luther at the beginning, he is like first talking about how he was like an incredibly sweet person, and he regrets not doing more for him and helping him more because people didn't understand him because he was like so big and like uneducated and stuff. And
Yeah, I can't remember if they said he was just uneducated or if he had like
or if he was slow or
mm,
something. Did
yeah,
he
like
say something
mental
like
issues.
that? I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I just assumed, I guess, just based
Yeah, me too. On how he was
on the
portrayed and
context.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, first off, I have a really really big issue with the treatment of Jesse period
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know or understand why we had to have her commit suicide.
Yeah.
It served no point to the plot. Um
No, they
it
could have
I
just
don't
had her die of something else. And, or she was kidnapped by someone else or something. Like there are so many other things you could do.
Yeah, and I guess it just bothered me because they didn't address it at all. They didn't like say what the issue was. It was just odd. It just felt like empty a bit
Yeah,
in their
just kind
treatment of
of
her.
like, yeah, like casually referring to suicide.
Yeah. So that was a major point of contention for me. And then two,
Yeah, I can see why.
Frank's death is really brutal.
Luther. Luther's death.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, Luther's death.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's really upsetting to me. Um, because I could see where this was going. I don't know. The end of this episode was the most upsetting to me because of what we learned right here, which is that he was actually a good guy. He was a
Mm-hmm.
misunderstood good person who died a horrible death, and he's punished again.
Right.
He's
So like,
punished for being rightfully upset about his murder.
yeah. And I think we both expected the episode I initially and you also initially upon your first watch expected the episode to go in a way where it was like, okay, we're going to rectify this, but by, considering like that Luther is the victim here
Mhm.
and finding a way to have him pass in a peaceful way.
Right.
But instead the solution was to um, you know,
Like, fight him.
re well, not just that, but also like re what's the word I want to look for? But have him re-experience his death, his brutal death,
Yeah.
and that sucked. Like he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, it
And I
doesn't
think
sit right with me.
I think Sam and Bobby kind of indicate that it sucks, but it wasn't quite enough. They
No,
didn't address it enough, I think.
not nearly enough for
Um
me.
yeah. So that's I think where our problems come with the episode.
Yeah, that's where my problems come with the episode. Um, like the parts that were kind of violent were like extreme for me, like the coroner at the beginning, um, doing the autopsy, and then like the sheriff like rubbing his arm, like scratching his arms to the bone and stuff like that. It was just really extreme. It was
Mhm.
kind of like, it just felt like things that we hadn't seen before in scenes like that. And you're right in that it's all of those things like that, the treatment of the topic of suicide, and uh, the treatment of this main character, our quote unquote monster of the week, who is
Mhm.
someone who is maybe assumed to be mentally disabled or just a misunderstood individual, who didn't have friends. Like, it's just this incredibly sad story. And then the spirit is like punished. And that's how this is resolved and everybody's happy at the end. And
Right.
I don't fucking get it.
Yeah.
So that's my
No.
rant.
No, I completely agree with you. Um So Sam and Dean realize then that the victims are experiencing Luther's death in slow motion, essentially. And, to add some salt to the wound, basically, since Luther was apparently spread all over the road, like his human remains, there's no way to actually salt and burn his entire remains, which is really interesting. It gives us that fact that like a body has to be salted and burned as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's no way to do that even, because it sounds like he was just, well, I don't know. I guess I don't know how rough that dismemberment was, but
yeah, we don't get a sense of that really. They make it sound like there was nothing left, basically.
yeah.
I don't really know how that's possible, but
so
okay.
I mean, yeah, it just goes to add like exactly how violent it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jean freaks out and basically says, "Why are we doing this? Why are we hunting monsters and doing this to ourselves?" And he has this super long rant and he says,
I love
Sam,
this so much.
yeah, that is exactly why our lives suck. I mean, come on. We hunt monsters. What the hell? I mean, normal people, they see a monster and they run, but not us. No, no. We search out things that want to kill us or eat us. You know who does that? Crazy people. Oh, and then he goes on to kind of call out Sam for having. So he's like, "Do you actually like being stuck in a car with me 8 hours a day, every single day? I don't think so. I mean, I drive too fast and I listen to the same 5 albums over and over and over again and I sing along. I'm annoying and I know that. And you're gassy. You eat half a burrito and you get toxic." So, wow.
That is so funny.
I love it. I love that it's canon that Sam has a farting problem.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, he's gassy.
Yeah. So he's like, "I'm done." He throws his keys and then he takes off running. And essentially what happens in between that time and the next scene is the Yorkie chase scene.
Yeah.
But which is kind of weird because like, again, that chase scene didn't really have anything to really do with the plot. It was just kind of a side tangent story.
Yeah, it was just
I
kind
don't
of a
know.
funny scene.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was odd. But Dean arrives back at the hotel. Sam was super worried where he was at. And Dean says he's freaking out because he's only got 4 hours left and then he's going to die. And all of a sudden, Sam says, "Yeah, you are." And then his eyes turn yellow. He pushes Dean against the wall and he's telling him, "This is what I want to become." And there's nothing Dean can do about it.
Ugh. It was crazy.
I know. And we get a son of a bitch here.
You get out of my brother, you evil son of a bitch!
They had this effect on the camera whenever Dean looked at Sam, like you were looking through Dean's eyes at Sam. And it totally reminded me of, is it Batman Begins with the Scarecrow?
Yeah.
And that effect when you're like under the influence of his gas or whatever, and it's really got this like shifty thing that it does with the camera, and it's fucking nuts.
No, it was really awesome.
It is awesome.
And it shows
also,
again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that it shows again that Dean's fear is Sam turning to the yellow-eyed demon, you know?
Yeah. So it pulls that out again, and it's like, oh, well, this is obviously still a deep-seated fear of his.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going away.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, like, connecting to the funny part of the Yorkie scene at the beginning of this scene, where Sam's like, "How'd you get here?" And Dean looks up and he's all sweaty. And he goes, I ran.
Like, what do you mean? Of course I ran.
I ran from old dog.
No, and also he's actually too embarrassed to admit that he was like running from something.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's funny. And then it was fucking crazy. And Sam's a monster. Yeah.
But then we see that it's really just Sam trying to get Dean to calm down.
Yeah,
and he's finally able to. So we cut to Sam sitting on the Impala hood at the lumber mill, and Bobby comes. He asks where Dean is, and Sam indicates that he's at the hotel.
Just left him at home.
Yeah. And we cut and we see Dean. He's watching TV and he's watching Gumby, which I used to love. But it's really why did they do this to us? It's an episode where Pokey is getting lassoed and dragged.
Yeah.
So just rubbing it in our faces.
Yeah, it was fucked up, dude.
Yeah, it really was. So back with Sam and Bobby asks if the hallucinations have started, and Sam tells him yes and asks him if he found anything. He says yes in a Japanese encyclopedia of spirits dating back to the Edo period. And Sam's like, what? I didn't know you spoke Japanese. And all of a sudden, Bobby like says this line in Japanese, and I totally
He busts out the Japanese.
Yeah,
wanted to take a clip of it.
No, I had read what it meant. I think it means like yes, I do, or something like that. I forgot.
That's awesome.
I found this bit on the Supernatural Wiki that Jim Beaver explained on his MySpace page. Yes, his MySpace page.
That is awesome.
Right?
Yes.
That Bobby speaking Japanese was his idea because Jim is actually fluent in Japanese.
What?
Yeah. Which is so cool.
What the fuck? How does he know Japanese?
I don't know.
That is so crazy.
It was so awesome.
I like it.
It's just great.
Yeah, Bobby's so multifaceted.
I know. He sounds great.
Badass.
He's so cool. And he explains, though, that this ghost is a buru-buru. And I tried to Google it, and nothing came up except for a reference to it from some sort of Japanese anime. But it's kind of similar in that it's like a spirit, a fear. It like clings to people, and actually that the words buru-buru are Japanese onomatopoeia for the sound of shivering and the chill of fear.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And Sam asks, how do we kill it? And, Bobby's like, we burn it. We burn the remains. But since that's not possible, we can also kill it with fear since it was born of fear. So we see Dean get a call from Sam. He tells them...
stupid.
I know.
That's fucking stupid. Was that in the anime? Since there's not even anything about this creature, I'm going to go off right now. Since there's nothing about this creature anywhere else, like we're not following some kind of like preset folklore or something about this creature and how you'd get rid of it. They had to make up how you got rid of it. And they decided to kill a creature, someone that was killed in fear, you have to take care of by scaring it. That is fucking fucked up. It's stupid. It makes me mad. It's unkind. It's not nice. It's not nice to the people who died.
So I don't know if it's like completely made up. I mean, it sounds, because I'm assuming that this anime took it from
like
actual lore. But I just Googling it just didn't bring up anything. So I'm just wondering if it's, a lot more local than a simple Google will appear, so yeah, I have no idea. And the anime doesn't say, this page at least about the anime doesn't say how you get rid of it. So
anyway, just had to get that out. I don't like it. They even if that were the lore, they could have changed it. They could have been like, that doesn't really do so much for script to screen. Once you get it on video, it doesn't translate so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So we see Dean get a call from Sam, and he tells them, they've got a plan. Just write it out. It'll be good. So they hang up, and Dean starts hearing barking coming from outside the hotel room door and sees the doorknob rattling. And then Sheriff Britton busts in with a gun aimed at Dean, and his arm is all bloody and messed up.
Scary.
He's yelling at Dean, Frank was my friend. He made a mistake. I didn't bust him, and you're going to bring me down for that? And Dean's telling him, calm down. You need to calm down or you're going to, die. But it's a little bit too late because Sheriff Britton's heart just gives out at that point.
Mm-hmm. But also, yeah, I am going to hold you accountable for that. Maybe you should have done your fucking job, Sheriff. I'm just,
Yeah.
Thank you for obstructing justice and covering up for your buddy.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that the last time we had a similar thing going on with the ghosts being the victim was, well, besides the death omen, if you recall, in that episode that we had Taylor on, The Usual Suspects. So the cop was the killer, but he had to go to jail afterwards, I think, right? And the death omen, I think they released her spirit by solving the mystery and everything. And then besides that, there was also Death in the Water. Dead in the Water?
Oh, Dead in the Water. Yeah, that was the one I brought up when we were watching it, because I was like, this isn't the first time we've seen some people try to cover up a death that was then a problem later.
Right. Yeah. And then that one was like, yeah, we're going to kill this guy.
Yeah.
We're going to let the ghost kill the guy, and that'll solve our problem.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
You fucked it up. This is how you get out of it. Yeah, so why couldn't it be like this, where they solve it or something and then he's fine? I'm going to stop now. I'm done.
So Sam and Bobby enter the mill, but they're not immediately attacked by Luther, which they think is odd. And Sam's like, maybe he's scared of us or something, because I did shoot him with a shotgun. So also we're dealing with this, nice ghost who's scared of them. And so Sam's like, you know what I need to do? I need to make him mad. So he starts tearing up the drawings of Jesse, and immediately he turns and sees Luther looking at him. But meanwhile, Dean is sitting on the bed at the hotel room. He's scratching his arms more. So Sheriff Britton is just dead in front of him, and he's just
hanging
there.
out with dead sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he spots a Bible on the floor and he picks it up. And we don't really get any sort of reason why we're picking up the Bible later on, but
no,
right?
But it was interesting. He's never obviously he's struggled with his faith in the past, but maybe now because he knows that angels are real or something, he really thinks that could help him or something. Now he's clinging to that, because normal people who have faith in times of in difficult times, or where you're scared for your life or something, you reach out to that and cling to it. But maybe now
so
he
was reaching out to it for the first time,
because he's I've got that now.
Interesting. So suddenly, though, Lilith appears to him with the same actress, and I'm so happy to see her. And he's like, what the fuck, And she's like, yes, it's me, Lilith. And she hugs him. She's like, oh, I missed you so much. Love her. I love her so much.
We missed you too.
And she's like, it's time to go back now. And Dean says, you're not real. And he tries to move away from her. And Lilith is like, what's the matter, Dean? Don't you remember all the fun you had down there? You do remember. 4 months is 40 years in hell. Like doggy years. And you remember every second.
What?
So, yeah.
Such a tease.
I know.
I want to know. That
But
long?
yeah, so I don't know if she, because I've been thinking about it afterwards, and I think we had kind of like asked this question to ourselves, like, is hell kind of like how it is depicted on Buffy and Angel, where when a certain character, if I don't know why I'm not trying to spoil it for you, but um, a certain character went to hell, and it was as if they were there for like 100 years or something when they were only there for like 3 months or whatever.
Right.
But it does age someone, so that like there's another instance where like human beings are going to hell on Angel, and they're like popping out the next day and they're like 80 years old when or dead when they were like 20 when they went in. But Dean obviously wasn't aged. So yeah, I don't know.
And it made me think of Mystery Spot when Sam's on his own for how long was that? Like
like
was it
6
4
months? I think it was 6 months.
Okay. Yeah, like 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
And that's time that Dean didn't live.
Yeah. And time also that Sam lived an additional amount of time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like he was at that time he was basically like 7 months older than Dean and experienced all that time without him.
Right.
And now
which
it's like
he remembers.
Yeah, and he remembers all that too, exactly. And since Dean's been gone, if it was like 40 years for him, I don't know, is that true? Is it really like a full, or is she exaggerating because she's Lilith?
I feel like maybe she's like using it as a metaphor, but it's just because he didn't age, like I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe he wouldn't age because the rules of physics are different here than they
And
are in
because
Buffy
you're
and
immortal
Angel.
in hell? Like you're immortally tortured?
Yeah, he's like dead. It's not his body. It's not his physical body
Right.
that was in
Right.
hell. That's what it is. So in Buffy
Exactly.
and Angel,
Thank
it
you.
is.
Yeah.
But it's not here. So it's
Got
totally possible.
Mm-hmm. Fuck.
Wow. Interesting.
That sucks.
I know.
Oh, Jesus. No wonder he's happy to be back.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything's better than that. This is fine. I can handle it.
So he's like, why me? Why'd I get infected? And Lilith says, silly goose. You know why, Dean. Listen to your heart. And she starts like scaring him. She starts making these like ba-boom, ba-boom sounds that like just make his heart go even louder and louder. And it just seems like Dean's heart is going to give out at any moment. But Bobby and Sam, they're at the rescue, I guess, because they wrap an iron chain inscribed with a spell word around Luther's neck. And Bobby drags him behind the Impala until he dissipates. And that is the plan. And they save the day because Dean, is suddenly fine. Lilith disappears, as do the scratches on his arms.
Yep.
I think we already shared how we feel about that.
Yeah, I could go on. I could. But it's the same thing. It just feels brutal and unnecessary and sad.
Exactly. So later on, Sam and Dean ask how bad his hallucinations and fears got. And before Dean can tell the truth, he sees Sam's eyes flash yellow. So he's still remembering that and just fearing it.
Yeah.
And so Dean lies, kind of like Dumbledore with his socks. And he says, I saw howler monkeys. That's what I saw, like in The Wizard of Oz, I guess. Thus not revealing the truth. So the episode ends that way.
Yeah.
So we did get one son of a bitch, and then a lot of like son of a bitches from us as we watch this episode because it was crazy. I mean, just before we talk about the ranking, like I want to express that I do still really like this episode. Like even though I had issues with it, I loved the directing. I loved the acting. Jensen was amazing. Um, the writing was problematic because of the way they portrayed, the ghost and everything as we discussed, but it was also very well, paced, and it was better than a lot of other stuff that we've, seen in the past. So,
True.
I give it that.
So yeah, I guess on that note, I could say that I liked the directing a lot. Obviously I liked Jensen's portrayal of, his fear and everything in this episode. It was really great. He just was like on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of hate this episode. I think I kind of hate it.
Because of everything, yeah.
Yeah, like that colors everything. All the things that could be good about it are colored so much for me. Like it sucks because I like those things and wish I could just like pull them out and put them in an episode that I liked. Because the rest of it was just awful for me. It was jarring and I don't know. It's not redeeming enough for me. So we're going to have an interesting time right now looking at the tracker because the ranking.
I think we are too. I don't see this episode being super low.
That's a shame. I'm seriously looking at like I'm feeling comfortable around 50, 55. I also as a concession, I could also see it around like 40, like where Roadkill is. Well, Roadkill? No, that's not the one I was thinking of. No. Sorry. Can't.
Like you see Roadkill way above that?
Yeah, that wasn't the episode I thought it was. I was thinking Route 666 where we have it 62. So even lower than anything else.
No, yeah, that one's like all the way at the bottom.
Yeah. I can't. I think it hurts me too much. It just makes me sad. And it's just a personal thing,
No, I mean, I agreed
and
with
I haven't
you.
had an episode like that in a long time. Like we've had a really good run for a long time. They've just gotten better and better. And it was just kind of a shock for me that this was thrown in and like kind of carelessly handled,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess because I wasn't too far away from you. You said around 50s. I was looking at underneath 40, which is playthings.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath that is Shadow right now, which is the one that we literally have a description right next to because we always forget what it's about. I can understand that and agree to that because I think above 40 are really good episodes, actually. Yeah. And they do deserve their place there.
Yeah, these were all good looking in there.
All right.
Yeah.
So we didn't
wherever
have to fight.
You want to put it in there.
I guess we didn't have to fight too much on it.
That's good. Thank you for understanding.
Yeah.
It really threw me off, because yeah, like I said, we've had a lot of really good episodes. This season has been awesome so far. Season 3 was also really good. And I guess I've gotten spoiled by episodes that I think are either like better than the last one or like on par, And this one wasn't, at least for me, like I said, it's personally just me. It wasn't just not on par. It was like, it had some really big, like, social, like, insensitivity, I guess.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, I think that's really the main point. I mean, it's not that it was a bad episode in quality.
Right. It wasn't like crappily done.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we do agree on that, you know. So this one
Thanks.
is going in as the new number 41. This one's going in the trunk.
Glad that's over with.
Man, we're going to have lots of angry emails.
Maybe.
But,
you know,
we'll save those for minisode.
Yeah. And, you know, that's what this show is about. Like, our podcast is about, like, getting, you know, specifically my opinion, since I haven't watched these before. And y'all have heard me listen or heard me, like, say throughout all of this so far, like, you've heard me get more and more into it. And I feel at this point, like, pretty invested and, like, really love the characters. And, like, maybe that's why it upset me so much, because I felt like it wasn't even really them. Like, it confused me at the end and kind of hurt me as to how, like, they didn't spend enough time, like, talking about how much it sucked that this was the solution. And they didn't seem to care about Luther at all. And Sam's, like, laughing at the end. They're, like, having a beer and literally laughing. And I just felt like it didn't fit who the characters I feel like I know from all the other episodes. So that's just me again. But I hope y'all understand why I'm having a hard time with this.
No,
because Sam's always like the nice one too, right? Like, he like seems to understand people.
And I really expected him to. I really expected them to have that conversation. You know, just. Yeah, because I know Bobby and Sam kind of looked at each other and kind of made that, kind of gave that subtle clue that they felt that way, but it just wasn't stated, and it would have been better.
Yeah, it wasn't really acknowledged.
So hopefully it's only up from here. And the next episode that we have is called It's the Great Pumpkin, Sam Winchester.
I'm excited.
Yeah, which is...
I obviously don't even know what it's about, but just from the name, I know it's going to be fun.
It just sounds adorable. And you guys can find us on highwaytohellpodcast.com for all of your stuff. We did get one son of a bitch, and we count all of the son of the bitches that Dean says on that website, as well as any tears cried by Sam and Dean. And you can also send us your angry emails to highwaytohellpodcast@gmail.com.
We're currently accepting those.
Currently accepting them. You know, that's preferable. I am doing a little bit better by taking screenshots of your guys' tweets and DMs from now on, so that I don't forget them. But yeah, just shout out to us and we'll get to you. We have a Patreon, as I had mentioned. If you want to see our shocked and upset faces, expressions while watching this episode, you can on our Patreon. And if you can't help us that way, please leave us a rating or review on iTunes. It helps us so much. Seriously.
Yes, please.
It's great.
That's awesome.
And it tells other people that we're cool or whatever, and that you like us. And
except for this one bitch who disses this episode that I really liked. It was like, she's fucking ridiculous. And
yeah. Except
doesn't
when
know
Christine
what's
watched
good.
Yellow Fever. Right. So yeah. But I guess that's pretty much it. And until next time, we'll see you on the Highway to Hell. Bye.